Call our next witness.
State calls Detective David Albertson.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this class will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Would you please state your name?
Detective David Albertson.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm currently employed as a homicide detective with the Tampa Police Department.
Detective Albertson, do you have prior law enforcement experience?
I do.
Can you tell us what that involved?
I was a police officer, field training officer, and patrol sergeant for the town of Johnston, Rhode Island.
Johnson, Rhode Island?
Yes, sir.
When you were in Rhode Island and working as law enforcement, were you certified and qualified under Rhode Island state guidelines for law enforcement?
Yes, I was.
When you came here to Florida, did you have to go back to the police academy, or how did that work?
I attended the state of Florida, the equivalency of training academy for the state of Florida, basically to get myself certified with Florida, specific Florida certification required by the CJSDC.
Once you completed that, did you begin employment with TPD, or did you have any other employment?
No, I was pretty much immediately hired by TPD after being certified in the state of Florida.
How long have you been with TPD, Tampa Police Department?
About 15 years.
15 years. And how long in the homicide division?
About 5.
Have you maintained, or do you maintain, any type of certifications or qualifications as far as your law enforcement status here in Florida on an annual basis?
Yes, I do.
Do you receive training? Do you attend training in reference to your job as a homicide detective?
Yes, I do.
I'll call your attention, Detective, to the early morning hours of June 23rd, 2024. Were you summoned to a homicide scene here in the city of Tampa?
Yes, I was.
Where were you coming from when you arrived at that scene?
I was called from my home.
Who summons you to that scene?
Detective Sergeant Rachel Cholnick.
And for homicide, is that the way it works? If it's after hours or before hours, are you summoned normally from your residence?
Yes.
So if it's in the middle of the night, early morning, and you're at home asleep, you're going to get woke up and told you need to come to a scene.
That's correct.
Is that what happened here?
Yes, sir.
Detective, Sergeant Detective Rachel Cholnick, is she one of the supervisors of the homicide division?
Yes, she is.
Was there at the time another sergeant detective who was also a supervisor of homicide?
Yes.
And did those two supervisors rotate duties?
Yes, they do.
When you arrived on scene, do you remember what time it was?
It was approximately 6:50 in the morning.
When you got there, arrived there, were there other officers there?
Yes, there were.
Were there uniformed officers there?
Yes, there were.
Were there detectives there?
Yes.
Were there crime scene detectives or technicians there, or did they come shortly thereafter?
I don't recall if they were on scene upon my arrival, but if they weren't, they would have came shortly thereafter.
So when you arrive at the scene, what do you do first?
The first thing that I do once I arrive at the scene is I enter the scene from the northmost portion of the scene and reported to Detective Sergeant Cholnick so I could get briefed on what investigations had been conducted prior to homicide's arrival on the scene. That way I could best assist and triage what needed to be done in my role as the scene investigator.
Other than you and Sergeant Cholnick, were there any other homicide detectives there at the scene?
Yes, Detective Matthew Kirk Patrick, who assisted with the scene investigation, was on scene at that time.
Was Detective Juan Ramos there on scene?
When I initially arrived, he was not. He was at another location where a vehicle had been, an involved vehicle had been recovered in another location that was not there at that scene.
All right. Was that a Nissan Altima?
I believe so, yes.
At some point while you were there that morning, did Detective Ramos come on scene?
Yes, he did.
Were you given an assignment by Detective Sergeant Rachel Cholnick in this case?
Yes, I was.
What were you assigned to?
I was assigned as one of the scene detectives.
Was Detective Kirk Patrick assigned to assist you in some way?
Yes, he was.
Other than working the scene, were you asked to do other or fulfill other roles in this case?
Later in the investigation, there was a vehicle that I assisted with seizing as evidence, and then as well as conducting the interview in Jacksonville, Florida.
So in this investigation, you worked the scene. You were summoned to. Were you summoned to a residence in Polk County at some point?
Yes, I was.
And did you also, with Detective Kirk Patrick, travel to Jacksonville?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about the homicide unit at the Tampa Police Department, just briefly. So you were given this assignment. Was there another detective who was assigned as the lead detective in the case?
Yes, there were.
Who was that?
Detective Juan Ramos.
And was Detective Aaron Campbell also assigned in some capacity to either assist him or to be a co-lead in the case?
Yes, he was. He was assigned as the assistant lead investigator.
These assignments of duties or division of duties, is that something that's common with homicides and the treatment of homicides by the unit, by the homicide unit?
Within the Tampa Police Department, yes, that's the way we're set up.
Would it be fair to say the unit works as a team when investigating a homicide?
Very much so, yes, sir.
In this case, you were assigned as one of the two scene detectives.
That's correct, yes, sir.
After being assigned to that or given that assignment, did you at some point walk the scene or at least observe the scene?
Yes.
Did it come to your attention that there was a disabled motor vehicle in some portion of the scene that may have firearm damage to it?
Yes.
Did you go to the area of that motor vehicle?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to show you a few photographs. This is state 7 is in, correct? It's not. Okay. Your Honor, we would tender state 7A through 7, I believe it's T. 7A is an alpha through T is in tango. Or the photographs.
Mr. Gonzalez, any objection?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise?
No objection.
Mr. Petratus?
No objection.
Be admitted.
Publishing state 7A. Detective, is this the disabled motor vehicle?
Yes, it is.
And did you see damage to that motor vehicle that was consistent with gunfire?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with damage to motor vehicles from gunfire?
Yes, sir.
Had you seen that in other investigations as a homicide detective?
Yes, I have.
Have you seen that in other investigations where you were working in a law enforcement capacity, in some other capacity, either patrol or some other investigative capacity?
Yes, sir.
State 7B, B is in Bravo. Do you see damage to the windshield of the motor vehicle?
Yes, I do.
In fact, are there several spots where there appears to be damage?
Yes, sir.
And is there a overall or holistic damage to that windshield of cracking?
Yes, sir.
the spots that are marked by the yellow markers in the scene, first of all, what are those yellow markers?
Those are evidence markers with scales. They're a sticker, basically, that's used specifically for the purpose of marking things on a surface, such as a motor vehicle.
When you say scale, what do you mean by that?
So a photographic scale. So if you do a close-up photo of the damage, in this case, with the sticker, it'll give you a measurement of that damage based on the scale within the camera itself when you view the picture.
And I'm zooming in a little bit on some of the damage to the front of the windshield. The white markings with the center hole, would that appear to you to be damage left by a bullet or a projectile that's passing through the windshield?
Yes, sir.
Stage 7C. What portion is reflected of the Dodge Charger in this photograph?
It's the front windshield as well as the hood of the vehicle.
So zoom in on the hood. Do you see damage to the sheet metal on the hood that you believe is consistent with damage caused by gunfire?
Yes, sir.
Would these oval or streak-like divots, would that be the damage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where I'm pointing with my pen.
Yes, sir.
Stage 7D as in Delta. Is this a portion of the windshield?
Yes, it is, sir.
And these items down here on the bottom would be the windshield wiper, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Same holes we were talking about earlier in the glass?
Yes, sir.
I want to draw your attention to this hole now in the middle of the screen. Do you see red substance on the inside of the streaking down on the inside of the windshield?
I do, sir.
Does that appear to be some type of substance that was liquid and may have dried?
Yes, sir.
Would that be consistent in your experience with blood?
It is.
And around the hole going into the windshield, do you see red substance?
Yes, I do.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Stage 7G is in golf. Would this be the front hood?
Yes.
Front hood of the car? All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So, down here on the bottom of the photograph, the bottom of the hood, we see, would you agree with me that appears to be damage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we have this sticker crossing across the seam of the hood and the front grille, and then over here we have the same. Is that marking damage?
Yes, it is.
Okay. When a car like this is transported to your impound lot, and this was transported to your impound lot at some point,
Yes, it was.
is there some item that's placed over that seam to prevent it from coming open and to mark it as being closed at the time that the collection of the vehicle occurred?
Yes, there is.
Do you see that item in this photograph?
I do. It's on the left side of the photograph, the white square that says evidence on it.
And that's utilized to ensure the integrity of the car is maintained during transport?
Yes, sir. Those are placed on there pretty much anywhere where there's a seam, the doors, the hood, the trunk. stuff of that nature to ensure that the vehicle remains sealed to protect the continuity of evidence.
State 7H, H is in hotel. Would this be the passenger side of the car?
Yes, sir.
Were there impacts to the passenger side of the car and also to the window, the passenger side window?
Yes, there was, sir.
Did they appear to be or had been caused by gunfire?
Yes, sir.
Do we see those white evidence markers on the seams of the doors?
Yes, sir. There's one at the seam in between the front door, basically the B pillar of the vehicle, and then one at the would be basically the C pillar at the seam of the rear door.
Okay. This would be the B pillar
That's correct.
and C pillar.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do we see damage here on the front of the front passenger door?
Yes, sir.
Damage on the rear passenger door,
Yes, sir.
rear passenger windows,
Yes, sir.
and rear quarter panel,
Yes, sir.
passenger rear quarter panel. Is there damage to the length of the passenger side where there may be paint transfers?
Yes.
State 7O is an Oscar. What side of the car is this?
That is the driver's side of the vehicle.
Do we again see some type of damage to this side of the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Is the front driver's side tire appear to be damaged?
Yes, it does.
Is it flat?
Yes, sir.
Are there impacts noted on this side of the car from gunfire?
Yes, sir.
And is the rear driver's side window appear to be, or driver's door window, rear passenger door of the driver's side, does the window of that door appear to be affected?
It does.
Does it appear damaged?
Yes, it does.
State 7P is in Papa. Do you see marked damage?
I do.
Is that consistent with gunfire?
It is.
And do we see, or do you see damage along the length of the car?
Yes, sir. It appears to be some type of paint transfer.
Did your investigation at the scene take you to the southern end where the entrance is located to the home to suites?
It did.
So I'm going to show, I'm going to move to introduce states 8A through 8O.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
No objection.
Mr. Sonardi?
No objection.
Mr. Wise?
No objection.
Mr. Petratus?
No objection.
Submitted.
Publishing states 8A is an alpha. Can you tell us what this photograph depicts?
Yes, sir. This is the very southern portion of the crime scene itself that's depicting the front entrance and portico area of the home to suites.
During this incident, and was there video later recovered where you were able to view the actual shooting?
Yes, sir.
Was there a motor vehicle parked in this position?
Yes, sir.
Did it receive damage?
It did.
Was that motor vehicle, did your investigation reveal it was owned by an employee of the hotel?
Yes, sir. It did.
Over to the side or corner of the hotel, Where I'm pointing there is, would you agree with me, a Lexus SUV?
Yes, sir.
And around that or in front of it are numerous yellow cones.
That's correct.
Evidence markers?
They are, yes, sir.
And are they marking items of evidence?
Yes, sir.
What were those items?
Predominantly shell casings, bullet fragments, jacketing, metal fragments.
Were there numerous shell casings found in that area?
There were, yes, sir.
And did your investigation reveal what type of shell casings as far as what caliber?
9mm by 19.
So consistent with being fired in a 9mm handgun.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Are you familiar with Glock brand handguns?
Yes, sir.
Would it be consistent with ammunition that had been fired in a 9mm chambered or caliber Glock handgun?
Yes, sir.
Were those shell casings collected by the Tampa Police Department?
Yes, sir.
States 8B, B as in Bravo. In the foreground of this photograph, we see the markers you've just discussed in the back or the top of the photograph, but in the foreground there's a marker 23. Is there more projectiles or what appear to be part of a projectile located in that scene?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Right. And the yellow cones that mark the areas where the 9mm shell casings, and you said maybe some projectiles?
Either projectiles or fragments of metal or fragments from the jacketing of the projectiles themselves, yes, sir.
And the fragments could be from the motor vehicles that were hit?
Yes, sir.
Glass, metal?
I believe most of the fragments that were recovered in this area were all metal, so most likely from the sheet metal of vehicles being struck.
And those cones are extending underneath the portico?
Yes, they are, sir.
So were there items found up this close to the portico?
Yes.
States 8C, C is in Charlie. In this photograph, do we see those same cones from a different perspective?
Yes, sir.
Are some of them in front of the Lexus?
Yes, they are.
And are some of them leading into or underneath the portico?
Yes.
Now, we also see in the portico yellow tape that has been stretched across the portico.
Yes, sir.
And if we looked at the right-hand side of the photograph, there's more tape being extended out. Was this crime scene, by the time you arrived, had it been secured, and was it being monitored for security purposes to keep people out of the crime scene?
Yes, it was, sir.
The crime scene tape, why is that put up?
It's a physical barrier to prevent unauthorized people from entering into the scene.
States 8D is in Delta. Did there appear to be in the scene, leading from the area of the portico, did there appear to be some deposit that was left in a streaking formation, maybe some type of liquid?
Yes, sir.
And does that liquid, does it curve around in this roadway, and is it consistent in a northerly direction up the side of the hotel?
Yes, it is.
And is it consistent all the way to the Dodge Charger?
Yes, sir. That fluid trail terminates at the final resting place of the Dodge Charger.
Did it appear to you in your investigation that the fluid was leaking from damage caused to the Dodge Charger?
Yes, sir.
Some type of automotive fluid?
Yes, sir.
Also, in this area where I'm pointing, which would be to the middle left of the photograph, there appears to be a tree. Can't really tell, maybe a live oak or a laurel oak. It sits in an area with landscape stones. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
Now, there is a fairly good amount or deposits of those landscaping stones that are outside of the barriers of that curb.
That's correct.
In viewing the videos that were collected from the scene during the shooting, did it appear that a motor vehicle may have passed up over that curb
Yes, it did.
and may have dragged the stones off of the area.
Yes, sir.
States 8, E is an echo. What direction is this photograph or the camera pointed in?
That would be oriented, your view, as if you're looking to the northwest.
And were there parking spots up and down this portion of the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Other than the shell casings that we've talked about, the 9mm shell casings, in this crime scene, were there any other types of shell casings located?
No, sir, there were not.
Any rifle shell casings?
No, sir.
Any 5.56 NATO caliber shell casings?
No, sir.
Any 223 Remington shell casings?
No, sir.
Any 300 blackout shell casings?
No, sir.
This area by the Mercedes SUV over here to the left, was this area searched for
Yes.
shell casings?
Yes, it was.
In the videos that were collected in this case, were you able to see locations of different people firing a handgun and rifles?
Yes, sir.
And were those areas where those people were seen in the video, were they searched to see if there were any shell casings in those areas?
Yes, they were.
Was this entire area searched for shell casings?
Yes, it was.
Going up towards the north, in this parking lot, along this line of parking spaces, we see a car here that's kind of faced at a slightly different direction.
Yes, sir.
Do the parking spaces start angling slowly to the north as they go around this corner here?
Yes, they do.
And then somewhere in this area, is there a charging station?
Yes, there is.
In your investigation, did you notice that there was a Tesla motor vehicle sitting there
Yes, sir.
in that charging station?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen that, Mr. Harmon? Please continue questioning through Exhibit 8. When you've done with Exhibit 8, then we'll break for the evening, okay?
Yes, Your Honor. States 8F is in Foxtrot. Looking at this photograph, what are we seeing? What direction is the photograph?
So that is almost, I would say, where the last photograph was taken. However, the camera is now oriented due east across the front of the home to suites and portico area.
In this photograph to the lower left corner of the photograph, do we see that fluid trail that we discussed earlier
Yes, we do, sir.
associated with the Dodge Charger?
Yes, sir.
And do we see some crime scene markers,
Yes, sir.
cones? The one that we talked about earlier that was in the foreground of that earlier photograph?
Yes, sir.
This area here is the portico.
It is, yes, sir.
Along the southern edge of the parking lot of the hotel, are there parking spots?
Yes, there are.
Along this edge, were there any motor vehicles that were affected by gunfire?
No, sir.
States 8E is an echo. Going back to this photograph, along this western edge of parking spots that run in a north-south direction, were there any vehicles that were affected by gunfire?
Yes, there were.
States 8G as in golf. Similar to the just prior photograph?
Yes, sir. Just
Yeah.
taken a couple feet to the north of that photograph.
States 8H.
Again, just another view, just a little bit further north, still looking east to the front door and portico area of the home two suites.
Just to the left of the Lexus motor vehicle, we see what appears to be a sidewalk. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Or an area where a person can walk next to the actual hotel?
Yes, it is.
going underneath the portico to the north side of the portico. Would this area where I'm pointing, would that be the entrance to the hotel?
Yes, sir.
And we see a group of windows here to the side of that.
Yes.
Was there damage that appeared to be consistent with being caused by a firearm being fired into the window?
Yes, there was, sir.
States 8J is in Juliet. Is photograph facing south
Yes, sir.
along the eastern edge of that Lexus motor vehicle?
Yes.
And do we see a more close-up view of the evidence markers marking either shell casings or other items of evidence?
Yes, sir.
States 8K, K is in kilo. Does this photograph depict a view that is viewing south-southeast?
Yes.
And do we see evidence markers inside these plants here in this planter area?
Yes, sir.
And that would be just to the east of that handicap spot where the Lexus is located?
Yeah, photo approximately taken pretty much from the same location as the previous photo, just now we're turning almost like a 45 degree angle facing south-southeast.
And in this photograph, can we see evidence markers that are extending up underneath the portico?
Yes, sir.
And then an evidence marker here on the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
Now, this evidence marker in here, were there 9mm shell casings found in this area,
Yes, sir.
as well as this area?
Yes, sir.
States 8L is in Lima. Be fair to describe this as a camera angle facing almost directly east down the southern side of the hotel from the western side.
Yes, sir.
And there is another evidence marker that is even further east that we can now see
Yes.
in the driveway that leads into the entrance.
Yes, sir.
States 8M is in Mike, and similar to that photograph we looked at earlier, does it appear to you the camera's now been flipped and looking back to the west, southwest?
Yes, it does, sir.
And we can see all of these evidence markers in that area, same area?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, that would complete that exhibit.
Okay. All right, so the state, this does not conclude this witness's testimony, however, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Detective Albertson, you are excused until 9 a.m. Since you've not yet been cross-examined, while we're on the overnight recess, you can't talk to anybody, including the state, about anything related to your case or your testimony.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
You're done for now. And go ahead and step down. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're done for today. So I'm going to excuse you for the evening. Just to remember my previous admonition, you're not to read, watch, listen any news accounts or social media posts about this case. Don't do any independent investigation, and don't talk to anybody, including spouses, about anything related to this case, okay? All right, very good. We'll see you all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
All rise. All jurors are out, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, everyone have a seat. So what's the lineup for tomorrow?
Judge, we have a lot of the victims coming in from Jacksonville, Camilla Bentley, and can I send everybody an email? We also
That's
have
fine.
people from Jacksonville coming as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Just, how quickly can you get that email done?
As soon as I get back, I'll start typing it up.
Okay, all right, so by 7 p.m.,
Yes, sir.
make sure the defense counsel has your list of witnesses for tomorrow. Okay, anything else before we break for this evening?
Just very briefly, Judge.
Yep.
I don't know if the court would reconsider allowing Mr. Chance's parents to be present. They are county phase witnesses only. They have no information about the guilt phase. They cannot be witnesses in that regardless. They would like to be here to support their son both as defendants and then later in the county phase. They provide mitigation only, but it's up to them.
State, do you object?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, with no objection from the state, so that's fine. Mr. Chance's parents, but you need to just make sure, and you'd have discussion with them, that they're not to relay anything to anybody what they view as far as what occurs in this trial.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay?
Your Honor, could I inform, could that relate to any family member?
I don't know, you guys talk about it. If the state doesn't object, I don't care. Just let me know that you all have reached an agreement, and make sure you've told whoever it is if you can agree. If you do not agree, I guess you need to look for case law, and we'll discuss it, okay? Okay, thank you. See you all tomorrow morning, again promptly at 9 a.m.
Report adjourned.